Hello, Vifhians! Are you tired of traditional learning methodology and want to transform your learning into a game? If yes, then the wait is over. Vifhe has launched its gamification learning model, in which there are 7 levels to score 100 points. Level 1, recorded sessions. Level 2, live classes. Level 3, assignments. Level 4, test yourself. Level 5, testing platform. Level 6, mock. Level 7, quick WhatsApp response, in which you need to score at least 80 marks. But the game will not get over. You still need to pass your ACCA exam. So if you score 100 points and you pass, you will get $30 discount. If you score 90 points and you pass, you will get $20 discount. And if you score 80 points and you pass, you will get $10 discount on any other paper at Vifhe. So what are you waiting for? Let the game begin.
Hi, good evening, everybody, and big welcome to all of you in our today's webinar on SBL for June 2022 attempt. This is day number 2, and my name is Hasan Dossani. Right, so those of you who were there yesterday, welcome again, and those of you who are joining today for the first time, you must try and watch the day 1 webinar tomorrow. I believe it's available on YouTube now. Okay, so you can search and you will find it. just a quick thing, what we will be covering in 3 days. We will revise some important topics. We will talk about professional skills. We already did that yesterday. We will talk about formats. We did that yesterday. Exam techniques, we will do it now. Technical articles, we will cover tomorrow. Study plan tomorrow. Practice and draft this, it's already in progress, right? Before we proceed, this webinar is based on CBE approach. And of course, this webinar alone is not sufficient to make you pass in your exam, especially for self-study students. You must watch these 3 webinars right after the June webinar. Now, this will then complete your preparation and give you a strong chance to pass. How can you ask questions? Or you just need to type your question in the chat box. Your question should relate to the topic under discussion. Do not ask any non-relevant question, and in the end, I will give few minutes for any kind of questions. Okay. That's a brief introduction of myself. I don't want to repeat it. My important thing is this is my WhatsApp number. You can save it if you're joining today for the first time. Anshika, nothing for you guys. And if you want to join my WhatsApp, global WhatsApp group, please message on this number. And I think that Wali ul Hasnan, he has shared the link on the chat box as well. Thank you, Wali. That was very kind and sweet of you. I really appreciate that. So you guys can join my global WhatsApp group either by sending a message on this number or clicking on the link which Wali had shared. Right. Exam techniques. Extremely important topic today. I think exam techniques makes the difference between pass and fail. Every student, they try to work hard, they try to solve papers, but it is those 4 hours in which you're supposed to perform, right? No matter how much preparation you have done before, or no matter how much preparation you have not done, it is those 4 hours which counts. And if you hold your head straight, if you are confident, you are street smart, and if you apply proper exam techniques, that will make the difference between pass and fail. Got it? So before I dive into exam techniques, I want to hear from you from the recent students who gave exam in the previous semester, the March 2022. I want to hear from you what, in your opinion, why you failed. Okay. Now, I want to break the discussion into 2 portions. First of all, I want to hear from students who scored less than 40. So any volunteer who scored less than 40 in March would like to share why he or she thinks he scored less than 40, and please raise your hand if you want to speak. So the way you can raise your hand is go to reactions and then press raise your hand. Any volunteer? Okay, Busula, the group is full. Okay, I will send the link for the new group. Okay, give me in the break. So any volunteer who would like to share can unmute their mic. Ananya, thank you. Unmute.
Hi, sir.
Hi, Ananya. You gave attempt in March.
Yeah, sir. Yeah.
And how much you scored?
45.
45.
Yeah, sir.
And what do you think are the top 1 or 2 reasons in your opinion?
Sir, time management.
Time management. Okay.
And,
What do you mean? What do you mean by time management? You were not able to complete the paper?
yes, sir. Actually, the first and second question was extremely difficult. So, and I got stuck in that, but 3, 4, 5 was easy. So I overran my time in the first and second question, and I couldn't complete the fifth question, which was benefits of e-marketing. I think that was the reason for my failure.
Okay, so you were not able to complete the last question because you spent more time on question 1 and 2 because they were a little bit difficult.
Yes, sir. Yeah.
It happens if this happens to most of the students, they spend more time on question number 1 because it is the first question, they want to perform well, and suddenly they ran out of time. All right, Ananya, thank you so much. Deepa.
Hi, sir.
Hi, you gave attempt in March?
Yes, I stuck on 44.
44?
I think my paper was okay for me, was not extremely hard where I can't do. But the thing was that what I can think about why I failed is that I might have put the less points in there because
Less points.
because the financial question was there, the non-financial and financial question was really good question, but I found that it was a big chunk of the paper. And I thought that I should have put more points, as you said in the last webinar, that you need to put some extra points in there. But I did not put lots of points in there, I believe.
Insufficient number of points. Again, very common mistake. Did you do sufficient number of mocks?
Yes,
on CVE under time based?
Not really. I always overrun my time. That was one of the thing I felt that how I'm going to do it. But I think the first of the mock which you marked, that was my time pressure mock, which I finished. And
so were you able to complete your March paper?
In the examination, yes.
So there must be some compromise on the quality of the last question, maybe?
Probably, yeah. I think that I put the last question was like, I can't remember where it was like, it was a very basic question. I think I just put the definitions in it, what that means. And I did not put too much thing in it. So I thought that I should have put more points. If I would have put more points, I would have passed. Because
so maybe
exam was hard.
I agree. So 2 reasons, maybe insufficient number of points and there was time pressure. So maybe the quality and the number of points deteriorated towards the last.
Yes.
All right. Anyone, thank you, Deepa. Anyone who would like to share experience who scored in 30s? So these two students scored in 40s, 44, 45. Anyone from 30s would like to share your experience? No one? All right, no issues. Okay, so let's look at the stepwise technique which you should follow. So when you open the paper, the first thing you need to do is copy paste all the requirements on your Word tool. There are so many requirements, right? So you need to copy paste the requirements, bring them on one page. Can anybody guess why I want all the requirements to be on one single page? Any idea? Just type. Why should be no? Exactly. Very good. So this, if you remember the paper, the requirements are scattered. There are 3, 4 separate exhibits, right? And it's difficult to remember what are the requirements. How many of you guys can remember what are the complete requirements? I can't, because if I memorize the first requirement, I will forget the second one. If I memorize the second requirement, I will forget the first one. So I can't memorize all the requirements. And it's important that you understand all the requirements, because when you are reading the exhibits, you need to look at the list of requirements time and again. So the first step is that we just copy paste all the requirements and bring it on one page so that all the requirements, it is, in front of us at a single glance, right? Where will you copy it? You will just open your Word tool, the answer sheet, and just copy paste it there. Do not use the scratch pad. Okay, this activity will take around 1 to 2 minutes. 1 to 2 minutes, but it's worth it. It will save a lot of time going forward. Okay, this is an investment. Word processor, yes. Now, once you have pasted all the requirements, then you start reading the exhibits, right? And whenever you complete an exhibit, just take a pause, go through the list of requirements, and if you see any relevant point, you just copy paste those relevant paragraphs or sentences under the respective heading on your Word tool. See, for example, if there is a question on risk register or risk management, right? And now you are reading the various exhibits and you found some information about risk management. You just copy paste that sentence or that paragraph or that information, go to your Word, copy, go to your Word tool and paste it under the risk management question. Then you go to next exhibit, start reading. Once you have done your reading, whatever paragraphs you feel are important according to the list of requirements, just dump it there. What am I calling it? Copy and dump. Copy and dump. So what I'm doing is, as we read the exhibits, we are actually picking up some relevant information, relevant sentences, and dumping it according to each requirements in the Word tool. Once we have dumped it, then we don't need to read any exhibits, right? Because we have copy pasted the relevant information. Then we can play around with it. We can edit it, we can delete it, we have to add more comments, you see. So this is a very, very important activity, that if you want to link your answer with the exhibit, the first step is you copy paste the requirements on Word tool, and then the second step is when you read the exhibits, you copy paste some relevant sentences on your Word tool. Okay. Should we copy paste the marks too? No need. No need. Does each exhibit relate to a particular requirement? No, Harriet. Some exhibits relate to a particular requirement and some relate to multiple requirements. So I will cover this in 2 minutes. Okay. Any questions on this slide? This is the first step, that when you open the paper, these are the 2 things you will do. Any questions? All right, let's move to the next thing. Time management. So I know from experience and student feedback that at least 50% of the students, they struggle in time management. Okay. For whatever reason, maybe their English reading speed is slow, their drafting may be slow, their thought process may be slow, their English may be weak. It doesn't matter. The bottom line is they struggle with time management. Let us first understand some rules for time management. So SBL paper is for how many hours? Do you remember? Please type. How many hours? Yes, 4 hours, out of which 1 hour is suggested for reading and planning, and the remaining 3 hours is suggested for drafting. Now, there is no hard and fast segregation. It's entirely up to you. You can spend 30 minutes in reading and 3.5 hours in drafting. It's all up to you. But from experience, from examiners' input and suggestions, ideally you must spend 60 minutes or less. If you can read it before 60 minutes, nothing like it, right? 60 minutes or less should be spent on reading and planning. and then you move towards drafting. What do we do? What do we do if our reading time is up and we have still not finished reading? 2 exhibits are left. You have to stop reading. So as soon as your reading time, stop reading as soon as 60 minutes are up and start drafting. That's a very, very important discipline. Okay. Doesn't matter if your 1 or 2 exhibits are still pending. Stop reading and move towards drafting. Do not hijack the drafting time, because if you start using the drafting time in reading, then you will end up with less drafting time and you will regret in the end. 60 minutes max reading time. Now, I know from experience again, normally if it's a small case study, then it is manageable in 60 minutes or even 45, 50 minutes. But if it is a lengthy case study, it normally will take you 70 or 75 minutes. If it's a lengthy case study, if you read, like if my speed, it takes me 70 minutes, 75 minutes in a lengthy case study, and we have to stop at 60 minutes, right? What do we do? So now we need to prioritize. We need to prioritize which exhibit to read and which exhibit to skip. All right. So there are 2 types of exhibit. Okay. There are basically 2 types of exhibit. One is called 1:many exhibit, and the other one is called 1:1 exhibit. And this is all my terminologies. Okay, this is not from ACCA. Can anybody guess what is the meaning of this word 1:1 exhibit? Harriet, can you guess? What will be the meaning of a 1:1 exhibit? Very good. Please go on. I want more responses, especially from Harriet. No, Ria. 1:1 means that exhibit pertains to one requirement. So it's a very specific exhibit and it will only be used in one question. Okay, it's a very specific relating to a particular question. And what is the meaning of 1:many exhibit? Yes, Komal, correct. 1:many means that exhibit will be used in multiple questions, more than one questions, maybe 2 questions, maybe 3 questions. Exactly. Right. So there are 2 types, 1:1 exhibit, 1:many exhibit. In your view, what do you think? Which one will be easier? Which one will be more complicated? So which one will be easier? Yes, definitely 1:1 is easier because it just contains specific information. But 1:many is little bit complicated because it contains a variety of information, because it needs to cater to several requirements, right? Now, in your opinion, which one is more important to read first, 1:1 or 1:many? Yeah. Which one is more important to read first, 1:many? Correct. No, Sidra. It is more important to read 1:many because several questions are dependent on it, right? The stakes are high. So I always prefer that we first read 1:many exhibits so that we can cover majority of the questions. And then after that, we move towards 1:1 exhibit. Okay, got it? 1:1 exhibit, because it is so specific, maybe I will not even read it during the reading time. Maybe I will just read it once I start the drafting that particular question. Got it? Okay. Now the big question. How do we distinguish between 1:many and 1:1? Because if we have to read 1:many first, how can we distinguish between 1:many and 1:1? There are certain indicators. For example, 1:many generally exhibits like board minutes. Do you know what a board minutes is? Board minutes is basically an extract of the board meetings. So obviously the board, they discuss so many things. So a board minute will contain a variety of information. So generally 95% of the time, board minutes are 1:many. Also something called meeting transcripts, almost the same thing like board minutes. Annual report of the company, that also contains a variety of information. Extracts from the company's website, that may also contain a variety of information. So typically these four items, these four exhibits will most likely fall under 1:many. 1:1 are normally financial exhibits. If it only contains financials, most likely it will just be used in one question. Any weird or specific topic and some articles, industry articles or article published in a newspaper or magazine, blah blah blah. Okay. One more thing, the most important thing is length, the size of the exhibit. Which one you think will be shorter? Which one you think will be shorter? 1:1, yeah. Because it contains specific information. Generally, 1:many are larger exhibits. So if an exhibit is less than 1 page, if an exhibit size is less than 1 page, take it to 1:1. If it is full 1 page or exceeding 1 page, 1:many. Again, all these techniques are subjective. It's not difficult, but it's subjective. In case you are not able to identify 1:1 or 1:1 for any particular exhibit, you are confused, then you mark it as 1:many. Is this question clear? So once we identify 1:1, 1:many, we will then first read 1:many, and then if the time is left, we will read 1:1. So all this story is for reading, 60 minutes activity, reading and planning. As soon as 60 minutes are up, you have to move to drafting. We follow 1.8 minutes per total marks. What is the meaning of per total marks? Any idea? You remember yesterday's question? Every question has two types of marks. Remember? One is a technical mark and one is a professional mark. So when I say total marks, which means technical plus professional is the total marks for that question. You pick that up, divide by 1.8, and you will arrive at the number of minutes to be allocated to that question. Okay, clear? Now this one is very important. This is where Ananya messed up. Not only Ananya, 10,000 students mess up. You have to stop drafting and move to the next question as soon as drafting time is up. What does this mean? What did Ananya do? She said that she, overran the time on question number 1 because it was difficult. She overran the time on question number 2 because it was also difficult. And the rest 3 questions were pretty easy. But then, because she had overrun the time on question 1 and 2, towards the end, she had no time for question number 5, which perhaps was one of the easier ones. So don't you think this is a little bit stupidity that you spend more time on a difficult question and forego an easy question? You understand? So most students, they tend to spend more time on difficult and complex requirements, and in the end, they end up missing on the easier requirements. Don't you think that makes that sounds illogical? Guys, please do not chat other than what I am discussing, all right? So I think a smart person will focus more on easy questions and push the difficult questions later, right? So maybe in SBL, I want to follow sequence, but at least what you can do is stop drafting and move to the next question as soon as the drafting time is up. Is that clear? You need to keep track of your time. So when you start the question, you calculate 1.8 minutes according to the marks. For example, you need to spend 25 minutes. You write the ending time somewhere, and then you start drafting. The moment your ending time is up, you need to stop. Now, I can understand if you spend 1-2 extra minutes to wrap it up, but you cannot spend 5, 10, 15 minutes extra, right? This discipline is easier said than done. Please, when you will do mock practice with me, you have to focus on this one, because this is the perhaps the most common reason why students fail. Javed Akhtar is saying how to keep track of time. I just told you, just calculate the ending time, calculate the minutes, and calculate the ending time, write it on your answer sheet, and then you start drafting so that you can see the ending time in front of you. And later on, you can delete it, right? Oh, any questions on time management, please? Any questions on time management? Laiba is asking, is there always 5 questions? No, never. There is no hard and fast number of questions. It is 4, it is 5, it is 8, all depending on paper to paper. Interesting. Sidra is asking, sir, can we start with easier question first, even if it's 3rd or 4th question? Interesting. I repeat Sidra's question, sir, can we start with easier questions first, even if it's the 3rd or 4th question? What do you guys think? Let me see your opinion. Most people are saying yes, no issues. Few of them says no. Okay. Here's my thought. Logically, Sidra, it makes sense, right? Logically, if you start with the easier questions, it definitely makes sense. And also, it's a CBE paper, it's a Word document. So you can write the question numbers, and then you can start with the lower one, and then, okay, you can always come back and fill the middle space. Okay. But examiner is really sensitive about question number 1. What did I say? Examiner is really sensitive about question number one. If you see, normally question number one is more difficult. Maybe it carries higher marks. Maybe it contains a lot of information requirements. One is too many exhibit, whatever. Examiner is more sensitive about the first task. So my suggestion would be that always start with question number one. Do not mess with the examiner. Okay, if he likes question number one, give it to him. But then make sure that also, question number one is a time trap. What did I say? What word I used? Question number one is a time trap. Time trap. The examiner deliberately gives such questions that students, they panic and they overrun the time. So while you must start with question number one, you have to be extra careful regarding time management. You should not fall in that time trap. As soon as the time is up, then you move on. Okay, leave it incomplete. Doesn't matter. I'm sure you will have completed like 70, 80% anyways of that part. Move, but it doesn't matter the sequence. As long as you focus on time management for each question, theoretically, you will be able to do the entire thing, right? All right. Lashana, you wanted to speak?
Yes, sir. Good afternoon. As far as time management, what I have noticed from my last exam was that I was very mindful of the questions themselves. However, I know for question one, it was like 50 marks. And
how much?
50, because that was AFM.
Jesus.
So question one was
AFM?
Right.
Or talking about SBL?
No. So what I did for that was I went through what just marked what I could not answer.
Wait. Talking about SBL or AFM?
No, I'm just talking about time management as far as the exam goes, and just being mindful of, if you're not to get in the time trap of question one, to monitor the time. What I couldn't answer, I just moved on. And then at the end of it, I realized, okay, I had 30 minutes because I kept the time for each of the other questions. Then I came back to question one and finished it. And that was it.
Exactly. This is a very good technique that you move on as soon as the time is up. And then you can always come back if you have 5-10 minutes left, right?
Right.
But Lashana, if you come back, there will be no space. Like in the physical paper, in the manual paper, this was the issue, right? That you have to leave blank pages in order to move on.
Right.
But in a CB paper, can you always come back and start?
Oh, yes, definitely. Definitely.
In a Word paper, you don't need to leave space. You can always come back and start inserting.
Right. And so this is the advantage of the CB platform.
Yes, the big advantage. Thank you, Lashana, for sharing your experience. All right, guys. So what do we conclude? We should always, is really touchy about it, but make sure you just leave it as soon as the time is up. Do not fall in the time trap. And then you can move to question 2 or 3 or 4, whichever you think is easy, or 1:1. Generally, 1:1 questions or exhibits are easier, right? But then throughout the paper, you need to be mindful of the timing. Right. Another important thing is number of points. This is the examiner's comments that most students, they don't write sufficient number of points. And I think also Deepika, was it Deepa, maybe? She also said that towards the end, because of time management or whatever reason, she ended up with less number of points. And obviously, less number of points means less marks. So you end up at 45, 46, even 49. Very, very important that you give the right number of points. What will happen if you give less number of points? Any idea? What will happen if you give less number of points? Please type. Of course, you will get less marks. For example, if the question is 20 marks and you just gave 3 points, you might get 5, 6 points, marks, right? Now, what will happen if you give more number of points or excess number of points? What will happen if you give excess number of points? Clarence, yes and no. So when you start giving extra number of points, two things may happen. Theoretically, you may get some extra marks. Theoretically, if those extra points are valid, you may get extra marks or two. But the flip side is you are spending more time on that question, because there's a balance between number of marks and number of points and time management. Okay. All questions are balanced by the examiner. The marks, the number of points, and the time allocation, they all synchronize. So if you give more number of points and if you overrun the time, you are screwing up your last question. You may not complete the paper. So as long as you can give extra point remaining within the allowed time, I have no issues. But if you try to give extra points in which you are overrunning the time, then you have a big issue. Got it? So how do we decide what is the ideal number of points? This is where a lot of confusion is. A lot of students, they wrongly calculate and then they end up writing more and losing time. So just look at this slide. Please make it very simple. It's not complicated. Forget about everything previously learned by you. So normally it's 2 marks per point. The rule of thumb by the examiner is 2 marks for a well drafted, well explained point. And what is the meaning of point per point? A point is basically 1 paragraph. Okay. So point, when I say a point, 1 point should be 1 point, should be 1 point, sorry guys, 1 point should be 1 para. You understand that? So if you are supposed to write 5 points, how many paragraphs should I expect to see? If you are supposed to write 5 points, then ideally, visually, the examiner should see 5 distinct paragraphs. Got it? Now, if it is a 10 marks question, if it's a 10 marks question, how many points are you supposed to give? For a 10 marks question, how many points? Exactly 5, okay? 5. For a 15 marks question, how many points? I would say 7, maximum 8, right? Because it is 7.5. So minimum 7. Mavish. Wait, I will answer that. Do you understand all of this? 15 marks means 7, minimum 7, maximum 8. 10 marks means straight 5 points. Any confusion here? All right, so Mavish is asking, should we divide by technical marks or should we use total marks? Please guys, all this calculation, according to this rule 2 marks, I would prefer that you follow total marks. Okay, forget what the examiner is saying, forget what the other teachers are saying. You have to stick with one teacher, right? So my experience says use total marks, divide by 2, and you will get the number of points. I don't want any confusion here. Everybody is clear? Please, can I have a yes? All of you, please. Excellent. Now, there are few exceptions. There are few exceptions, okay? So we talked about total marks, we talk about normal, 2 marks per point. We talked about 1 point should be equally 1 paragraph. Look at the size of the para. The paragraph should not be too small, not a 1 line or a 1.5 line. And it should not be like 8-10 lines, because again, it will throw you off. Like 3 to 5 lines, a mid-sized para is good enough, okay? Now, what are the exceptions? Exceptions to the above rule. There are few questions in which you're supposed to identify the weakness and give recommendations. There are few questions where you're supposed to identify the weakness and give recommendations. So in this type of a question, there are basically 2 requirements, right? One is this, identify the weakness, that's 2 marks. And the other one is give recommendation, that's another 2 marks. So for this kind of question, it carries 4 marks, 2 for weakness, 2 for recommendation. So now, if it is a 16 marks question, how on weakness and recommendation, how many weaknesses are you supposed to talk about? 16 divided by 4, very straightforward. So you need to identify 4 weaknesses and give 4 recommendations, 1 for each. 2 marks each, right? 2 marks for weakness, 2 marks for its recommendation. Very similarly, there are questions on risks and recommendations in which you are supposed to identify some risks and give recommendations. Very, very same. Again, you follow the same approach. And the third and the last exception is that in finance related questions, can you read it? In a finance related question, I don't mind if you give 1 point or 2 extra points, but I'm only allowing this in a financial requirement. Like if you are supposed to calculate ratios, and ideally you need to speak about 5 ratios, give 6 ratios. If you are talking about financial projections, if you're supposed to give 7 points, give 8 points. In the finance question, I'm okay if you give 1 extra point or maybe 2 extra points, even if you overrun the time a little bit. Why? Because finance is supposed to be your strong area, right? I can understand business may be your weak area, but at least ratios and finance is your strong area. So I'm okay if you give 1 extra point to score a little bit more. Even if you overrun the time, it's worth investing that extra time if you can score more. If you run out of points, then obviously you should not try and give an extra point. Pratham, yes, I discussed this yesterday. For this weaknesses and recommendation questions, you must use a tabular format. Guys, any questions on number of points? This is the most confusing areas for majority of the students. You have to keep it simple. Total marks divide by 2. And if it's a weakness recom question, total marks divide by 4. And if it's a finance question, total marks divide by 2 and then add 1 point. This is all part of planning. We have to decide before we start the question how many points are required. Okay, guys. Format of your answer, very simple. Linking your answer with exhibit is a must. We all know that. Adopt a paragraph style of writing. You know, you have to give small paragraphs. Bullet style generally is not encouraged by the board. Azam, you are unmuted. Leave one line between each para. Why do I say? Anyone can guess? Why am I saying leave one extra line between each paragraph? Any idea? Looks professional, neat, and examiner can quickly see the number of points. It can distinguish each para, right? So if you give one extra space between each para, examiner can count the number of paragraphs. That's important. How do you give one extra line? Just press enter twice. So once you finish the para, instead of pressing enter once to go to the next para, and press enter 2 times, and you will leave one line in between. It's not a rocket science, but it will, you may get extra professional marks here if your answer is visually open and neat and pleasing. Always focus high on formats. Do not compromise on formats. Beautification, it shows professionalism. So format should be really sexy. Okay, just like all of you guys. Look for stress words in your exhibit. What are stress words? Words like very, significantly, extremely, notably. These are stress words. Stress word means that the examiner is putting extra importance to that particular information. That's significant, right? It's material. So always when you are reading the exhibit, if you come across any of these words, try to copy paste it in your answer somewhere. Second last is use tabular format for weakness and recommendation type questions. And the last one is use of models is mandatory or not mandatory. What is it in there? Use of models is mandatory or not mandatory? Not mandatory, right? Unlike other papers. So even if you struggle with any particular model, just approach the question with a logical mind, cover all the logical points, you will get marks. Okay, so don't stress about models a lot. Obviously, you must know the basic models like Pestel, Porter, SWOT, and this and that. But even if you miss out some headings, it's all right. Oh, yeah, if the question says using a model, then yes, but very, very, very rarely I have seen this kind of requirement in SBL. Is it allowable to answer all questions without applying models? Yes, exactly, Sheikh. This is what I'm saying. It's not important to apply models. All right. What about this one? Do you think you will face this problem? Or have you faced this problem ever before, especially in SBL reset? What to do if you are unable to find the answer? So many students, they come back to me that, sir, there was very less information in the scenario, or there was no information in the scenario. We just wrote general things. Now that's not possible. The examiner will always give some information, right? He cannot ask a question if there is no information in the exhibit. What's possible is that you were not able to find out or identify that information. Okay. So in case you are not able to find out the answer or information in the exhibits, what to do? Can you read this? How many of you know that there is a search or a find option in the CBE platform? You know that? In the CB platform, there is a magnifying glass on one of the top areas. You can press that and you can type what words you are searching for, and it can immediately take you to the relevant sentences. For example, if there's a question on the disruptive technology, and while reading, you did not come across any exhibit or any information, so what do? You just go to the search and find option and you write disruptive. It's very important that you type the right word. Okay, try to keep it a little bit open-ended, and immediately the whole thing will be scanned, and wherever there's a disruptive word used, you will know. Okay, is that clear? Yeah, usually once we do the paper, I will show you. No. Can we write Control F? Emmanuel, I don't know. Once we open the paper in a little bit, we will check out. So when you don't find the information, read the requirement 2-3 times. Maybe you are misunderstanding the requirements. Then you can define. So if you are very sure there is nothing else, you can define, but no marks is there for definition. Like Deepa, I think in the last question, she just defined. She will not get any marks for definitions. Definition will just help you fill some space, 5-6 lines. Then you can use the search find option. And then you can copy paste that information, bring that information on your Word document, explain that in your own word, talk about the impact of those things, just common sense, logical discussion on the sentences which you find, and that's it. Do not fall in the time trap. What is a time trap? Remember, such questions, a lot of students, they tend to overrun the time. A lot of students, they overrun the time because they panic and then they overrun. Do not fall in the time trap. The moment time is up, fuck that question, move on. All right, but just to help you fill some, do not leave it blank, just fill something, definition, some copy pasting information through search find option, and then some of your explanations from your own side, talking about the impacts or the problems, whatever you think is easy. Any questions, guys? I'm finishing the exam techniques now. Are you guys very clear? So we spoke about how to link. We spoke about time management. We spoke about number of points. We spoke about the layout and the format of your answers. And we spoke about what to do if you can't find the answers in the exams. Now I think let's start with today's question. Okay, today I think I will do 2 questions. What's the time? It's almost 1 hour. Huh? So yes, Abbas. Yes, Abbas, please go ahead.
May I speak? Yeah,
Yes,
thank you
please.
so much for the webinar. Firstly, I would like to summarize the exam techniques with regards to the steps. Firstly, we have to read all the requirements quickly and copy paste the questions in the word processor. First thing is that. Second thing, once we are done reading the questions and the requirements, then we have to read the exhibits and highlight few important things which we found important for our
No.
questions.
No need
60
to
minutes.
highlight. No need to highlight. You will be wasting your time. Just
Okay.
select those sentences, Control C, go to the Word document, Control V.
And you have to do that in the first 60 minutes.
Yes.
Copy-pasting thing.
Yes, copy dumping in the first 60 minutes. Do not waste
Okay.
your time in highlighting. Just
Okay.
copy and paste.
And the drafting, specifically drafting with the dump file and cleaning everything, is it for 180 minutes, right?
Yeah,
Just confirm.
180 minutes. Yes.
Yeah. So dumping needs 60 minutes. I just want to clarify this thing. Thank you so much.
Welcome. Any more questions on the exam techniques before I start practicing today's question? Everybody is okay? We will do a small question now, and then we will take a break in 30 minutes time. Not now break. We will take break in after 1.5 hours. It's just 1 hour right now. So now today, whenever we will do question, you have to keep these in mind. You have to keep what are the professional skills in your mind, so that when you are drafting, you don't miss out on the professional skills. You need to keep the format required in your mind. You need to make a sexy format. And of course, the exam techniques like number of points and time management and all those things. Okay. You must get into the practice with different fonts. No. So please, every question you start, these are the 3 prerequisites for every question: professional skills, formats, exam techniques. They are prerequisites. Okay. Let me. So our today's topic is internal control weaknesses and recommendation. This is a topic which comes quite often, and it is a topic which requires a lot of common sense. It is not dependent on any chapter or theoretical knowledge or models. Do you remember my yesterday's lecture in which I said that almost 25–30% of the paper is common sense and logical? This is one of those questions, and I feel that a lot of students, they struggle with this kind of questions because they lack common sense and they are not street smart, unfortunately, and a CFO has to be street smart, right? So I deliberately picked up a question in which I want to show you how common sense can be applied, and it's not difficult. It's just your fear. Your fear that how can it be so easy? It's nothing like that. So just relax. So we will do SBL question specimen paper 2. It is called rail code, and we will do question number 2. All right, question number 2. Before we start internal control weaknesses questions, keep in mind that we have to use a tabular format, right? Something like this. We have to divide by 4 to calculate the number of points. And most importantly, you have to prove why you think it's a weakness. Like if you think this is a weakness, why? Then you have to talk about the negative effects or the damage which that thing will cause to the organization, right? The impact. Is this clear? Please, this is a very important thing, very simple, but any questions on internal control or risk management or even risk management, it applies. Use a tabular format, divide by 4, and whatever point you identify as a weakness or as a risk, you need to explain it, talking about its impact, the negative impact on the business. No, Kingsley, this webinar is not a complete solving of one question. You don't have that much time. Okay. I'm just picking up hand-picked questions. If you want to go through a full solving, then you watch my March and my December webinars. You remember this slide. So before we start reading the case study, please think that you are a CFO of that company and you are sharing your thoughts with the board of directors. You should not sound like a student. You should not sound like an accountant. Okay. Just like a senior, mature person talking to a senior non-financial board. Okay. Okay. So please, guys, I want you to open the CBE platform. Mine is already open there. Do you see this beautiful girl with black hair? Nice. She's wearing a mask, I think, COVID mask. Don't you think that's gender inequality? Is this gender inequality? Gender biasness? What do you think? She's blind. Oh no. Why did ACCA give a girl here? You know, ACCA's president or chairman is a female. The ACCA's CEO is a female. Probably. Or maybe they can say that this person is not a girl, it's a boy with long hair. Anyways, you guys are ready with the strategic business leader. Click here. Go to ACCA official resources. Go to specimen exam. Click here. And open the second specimen exam, SBL specimen 2. I'm assigning it somewhere here. Oh, please view
Yeah.
that.
That is where I'm supposed to get my.
SBL practice exam 2. Is that one? I need to press next, 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 scroll down, next, scroll down, next, scroll down, next, scroll down, next. If you are ready to begin exam, please click yes. Okay, yes. No, this is not the paper. I need to go back. Strategic business leader, ACCA, specimen exam, SBL specimen exam 2. Okay, so that is the SBL. Sorry, let's start. Next. All right, guys, can I please have a confirmation that you are now on the screen? The paper is ready in front of you on your laptop. Please, can I have a yes? Very good, very good. So, first of all, we are gonna do which question? I forgot. I think we were supposed to use question number 2B, right? So let's go to task number 2. Open it up. And can I open the word processor as well? Right. Now, task number 2. Just I want to read the start of this. You are an assistant auditor reporting to Alex Reed, the senior audit officer of NAA. NAA is probably some company. Your role is assistant auditor. Alice has asked you to prepare a report for the Rail Code Trust Board. What's the format required for the report for the Rail Code Trust Board? And the report will contain A and report will contain B. So it's a combined report talking about both 1A, 2A and 2B, right? So the format is report. Now let's read this, please. This one. Alex says, asked you to draft a letter. Oh, shit. So no. This one is a separate report. Alex has asked you to draft a letter to be sent to the chairman of the Rail Code Trust Board, which reviews the effectiveness of the internal controls at Railco using evidence from the minutes of the latest Railco board meeting and any other suitable source, and justify that the chief executive of Railco is failing in his fiduciary duties to the trustees of Railco. 8 marks. And professional skills are available for demonstrating skepticism skills in questioning the opinions and assertions made by the chief executive at the recent board meeting. So, do you remember skepticism? We have to ask questions, we have to disagree, we have to challenge who the opinions made by chief executive. 2 marks. Total marks is 10. First of all, how many number of points are required? How many points are required? 5. Very good. King Kong is saying 2. King Kong, you just fall into the trap. Why did you say 2? Because you thought that it's internal control weaknesses plus recommendation, right? But unfortunately, the question does not ask you for a recommendation. So then we follow 2 marks. So in total, it's 10 marks. Divide by 2. So we have to identify 5 weaknesses. Okay. Now, but when we are practicing now, just for discussion purposes, let us also give recommendations. I want to make you practice how to give recommendations. Okay, so assuming the question is saying identify the effectiveness of the internal controls and give recommendations. So we will skip this bit, the chief executive bit, because it is a little bit different. So we just focus on the identifying some control weaknesses. We will talk about the impact, and then we will try to give them some recommendation. Okay. 10 marks means how many minutes you have. How many minutes you have? 18 minutes. And for 10 marks, how many weaknesses are you supposed to identify if it is weaknesses plus recommendation? 10 divided by 4, 3. I think 2 to 3. 2 would be less, I think. No clearance, not 5, 3. Because you're now dividing by 4 if the recommendation would have been required. All right. So I will skip the letter format, or let's make a report format just so that you guys are comfortable with report format. Imagine that instead of a letter, you were asked to prepare a report. Please make a report format. Time starts now. First, quickly type in the stuff and then we will format. Caps on, report to from subject, date is 7 June. Action. What was my role? Assistant auditor. And I will copy this here, yours sincerely, assistant auditor. Who will code trust board? Subject would be internal controls. Done with the format, you guys can have 1 extra minute and then we will compare. If you are done on the format, please type done. Yes, Mukante, you are right, but I'm just, for this purpose, practice purpose, assume it's a report format and assume that you're supposed to give recommendations. Busula, you need to look at yesterday's session for that. Please, Buzula, instead of typing questions, please make this format very quickly. 60 seconds. No shake, it's wrong. You are the senior auditor, right? It clearly says your role now is senior auditor. Here, you are assistant auditor, reporting to senior auditor. Address has asked you to prepare a report. No, then you write here. Okay. Sidra, I'm just saying, give me recommendations just for practice purposes. Please, guys, you guys don't listen properly. I'm moving away from the actual question because I want to expand and give you more practice, please. Please type done once you are done. Ten more seconds. All right, so please compare. Did you guys do the formatting? So it has to be a big bold report in center to the Railco Trust Board from assistant auditor, subject internal controls, date is the exam date, introduction. This report reviews the effectiveness of the internal controls at Railco. This I just copy pasted and then added and gives recommendations because, as I said, let's do some recommendations, although it's not required. And then, did you write this ending right before you forget? Yours sincerely, assistant auditor. Matching. Even the format. Is it looking sexy? All right. Now, we need a tabular format. So let's insert a table. Go to the table option here. Click here. Click on table and we need 2 columns and some rows. Did you get that? Just inserted a table, 2 columns and 10 rows. On the left hand side, I will write weakness. On the right hand side, I will write recommendations. I will select, I will bold, I will center, and I will make it heading number 3. Looks nice and sexy. Fit for the board. Please do this. You've got 30 seconds. No, Jihan, please insert 10 lines. I will tell you why. Javed, yes, which normally I don't like, but yes, Nia, then you have to give headings of weakness and recommendations and then. All right, time is up. Now, our skeleton is ready. This is what I call the skeleton. Our format, skeleton, everything is there. I will close it. Now, guys, open up exhibit number 5. Exhibit number 5. Can you please read this paragraph? From here till here, audit and risk committee report. Please read this paragraph. Time starts now. And see if you are able to identify any internal control weaknesses. Done? Have you read the paragraph? Were you able to identify the weakness? What's the impact on the company? Like, why do you think it's a weakness? So were you able to identify the negative impact? Okay, anyone interested in a role play with me? I want a new name. Varda,
Yes, sir.
how are you, Varda?
I am fine, sir. How are you?
Good. Manur, you need to mute yourself. Thank you. Varda, were you able to identify any weakness here?
Yes, sir.
Can you loudly read which line?
Sir, the line where evidence suggests that more passengers are traveling on rail force network without tickets, and a key factor is that approximately 40% of rail company stations do not operate ticket barriers.
Ah, so is that good or bad that they don't have ticket barriers? So what is the weakness here?
It's really bad. Weakness is that customers are entering without showing
No.
their tickets.
What's the root cause?
That there is not a ticket barrier on
Exactly. In just 1 or 2 stations?
no, 40% of the rail company station.
Wow. So in 40, are you saying that in 40% of the stations, there is no ticket barrier?
Yes, sir.
And if there is no ticket barrier, what will happen? What's the impact? Why do you think it's a weakness?
Sir, it's the weakness because the customers who have not bought the ticket will enter to our rail, and it's bad.
So what if they travel without a ticket? What's wrong in that?
We will lose our revenue.
And look at
We
this
will
word.
not
Can you
fund
read
from the
this?
ticket.
Can you read this? This word.
Customer fraud, yes.
It's by kind of a, it's we are like, it is leading to customer fraud where they are using our trains without buying the tickets, which will lead to loss of
Revenue.
revenue.
Yes.
A small bit or big bit?
Big bit, sir.
Why?
Because, sir, so many people use rail and traveling transport.
Yeah, and how many stations we have this problem in?
40%. And
See, so it's a big chunk. Oh my God. Okay, so CFO, what do you recommend?
So we should firstly we should have barriers on these stations. 40%. We should immediately have barriers.
But
Ticket
don't you think, I'm just, arguing for the sake of arguing. So CFO, you are saying that we must install barriers immediately in the 40 stations, 40% remaining stations, right?
Yes, sir.
But don't you think that will be a huge cost to us?
Yes, sir. Cost, but we are losing our revenue, which is main for us.
So you think the revenue which we may be able to save might be able to cover the costs?
Yes, sir. Definitely.
Interesting. So is that the only solution, that we add rail barriers? Can we do something more in addition to that?
We can do. I can't think of anything else because it's mentioned in there that
Forget about mention. If you are the CFO of this company, is there any further controls which you might want to implement other than barriers? What if someone crosses the barriers without a ticket? Isn't that possible?
We can have a ticket checker who checks all the tickets of the passengers who are sitting in that train.
Right. So I think we should increase the number of ticket checkers, make the checking more stricter.
Yes, sir. Definitely.
Nice. Very good. So that will further, reduce the risk of customer fraud.
Yes, sir. It will. We will be doing this very tightly if we increase the checkers, number of checkers who checks the tickets of every passenger sitting in the train.
So right, we can install barriers, we can increase the number of ticket checkers so that, what else? One last thing. What if the ticket checker finds someone without a ticket? Should he kiss him?
Sorry?
What if the ticket checker finds someone without a ticket on the train? Should he kiss him?
Yeah, that's a nice thing to do. That
if he is without ticket?
Yes.
Or we should throw him out of the train?
We should ask him to pay us.
Come again?
We should ask him to pay us the price of the ticket.
The price of the ticket, that's it? That's it? No penalty, no jail, no nothing?
We should charge him. We can charge him double.
Forget about double, triple. Shouldn't there be some kind of penalty?
Yeah, we can do some kind of penalty, or we can handle him to the police.
Yeah, so there should be, exactly. So why not? So if anyone is found, if any customer is found without a ticket, we will kill him. We will throw him out of the running train.
Yes, and by doing this, other people will also see that there is a kind of security.
Yes, then they will be afraid. Then others will not even think of. Varda, you think you handled it well?
I don't know. Yes, maybe.
You tell me. You are the CFO.
Yes.
Did you give some logical discussions?
Yes.
Yeah, I think so as well. And which chapter, which model?
Sir, it's the common sense only.
Yeah,
The
you just exactly. So this is the kind of question where you just forget that you are a student, forget you are a, accountant. Just think that it is your company and what you will think and give suggestions how to fix it. That's important,
yes,
right?
sir.
Mata? Very good. So all of you guys, please um, first go to your answer sheet, the Word document, and please write the weakness there. Here, please write the weakness. You may copy paste some sentences from here, add the impact, please draft the weaknesses. Weakness time starts now. Done. Please, can you paste your thing? Yes, Ishan, that's a good point. Yes, Vashi. Okay. Just draft the impact, then I will give you time for recommendation. Good, Manu. Good, Ria. Not good, Atmarani. Where is the weakness, Atmarani? You haven't mentioned the weakness. All right, I think good enough. Now, guys, move to recommendation. Just give one recommendation. That's it. Please paste in your chat boxes. Fazil, it will help to reduce the fraud and increase the revenue. Explain it completely. Do not leave it incomplete. Good, Hasan. Good. Sidra. Good. No, Shahzad. I mean, if you don't sound like an accountant, but then you have to explain that, okay, if the cost is there, then they will be offset by the revenues. It will lend your answer. What? What are you saying, Amir Shafiq? Board members should oversee the identify the ticket processing procedures. Are you crazy? Is it the job of the CEO and the board to oversee the ticket facilities? No, King Kong, don't talk about words like cost effective, this and that. You sound like an accountant. As I said yesterday, always try to increase revenue. And why just selected stations? Don't you think there's a revenue leak in other stations? Why should we allow revenue leak? Okay, Ali, good. Javed, you need to talk about installation of ticket barriers first. Ticket checkers is the secondary control. No, Tejas, first is the ticket barrier. The case says the weakness is no ticket barriers. So the recommendation should be install ticket barriers. That's the primary thing. And then you can add all these things like apps and online and guards and all. Okay, address the primary weakness first. No ticket barriers, install ticket barriers. Peter, not good. What's the impact? Okay, all right, guys. Again, what I wanted to prove here is it just requires common sense. So let's move to another task, another weakness, task number 5. Can you please read these 2 paragraphs and identify any weakness? What is a SHE committee? SHE committee is safety and health something, health and safety something. Just sorry, this paragraph, first one. What's the weakness? Lack of training, lack of control, safety controls, right? Any role play? Pratham.
Yes, sir.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good, sir. How are you?
Okay, you are the CFO of this company.
Yes, sir.
Okay. What other weaknesses do you know?
I can link the lack of investment in training staff to the injuries.
Hey,
because...
No, just talk to me straight. What's the weakness? What do you mean by I can link?
Staff are getting injured.
Okay. Is that good or
They
bad?
don't have enough training.
So why are they getting injured? First, they are getting injured is the impact, right? What is the root cause? Why are they getting injured? Come on.
They haven't been given enough training on their work.
So that's the weakness, that we have not trained our staff regarding training regarding what? Accounting? Come on, man. Training regarding what? What kind of training we have not given to them? Hello, you there? Are you there? Excuse me.
On the health and safety procedures, right?
Very good, very good. So why were you not speaking? So now rephrase your answer. What is the weakness, Pratham?
That there's lack of training
Of what? On what? Lack of
on
training on
health
what?
and safety procedures,
Thank
which
you.
is the reason due of injuries to the staff.
Due to which, what's happening? Due to which the
Staff are getting injured.
some staff, or just use this sentence, there's an increase in the number of staff injuries. Can you copy this?
Yes.
Okay, so try to use some sentences from here and then revamp it. So we will say that there is what's the weakness? Lack of training. So we will explain that there is a lack of training regarding health and safety procedures to our staff, due to which there is an increase in the number of injuries to staff in the last year. Is that correct, Pratham?
Yes.
Now what's the impact? So if the number of injuries to staff goes up, what's wrong in that? Isn't that good or is that bad?
It is bad.
Why?
If staff are injured, then we won't have enough people to work.
Okay.
Their efficiency will reduce, and
Okay.
it might even lead to some staff leaving the company.
Okay. What about penalties and fines and in hospitalization costs?
Yes, I mean, if there's an audit, this might come
Forget
into
about
limelight.
audit. Forget about audit. If your staff is injured, don't you think they need to be hospitalized and treated?
Yes.
Can you just leave them on? Can you just leave them die on the train?
No.
So then there is an increase in medical expenses.
There's an additional cost to that also. Yeah.
And supposing the staff dies or he cuts his hand permanently, becomes disabled, then what will happen?
They might have to face legal problems if
And
someone
what
files a
about
case.
the reputation?
Reputation, they have to compensate the family of the staff.
Is there a reputational risk?
Of course, it's there.
So this is how you talk to the board. Basic stuff. You will say the injuries have gone up, which is not good because it affects the day-to-day work. It increases our medical costs, and it can also lead to fines and penalties and reputational damage. Now repeat everything. Quick.
Okay, so the problem is that there is lack of training of the staff in health and safety.
Very good.
Which is leading to increase in number of injuries.
Which is in turn will
lead to more additional costs of hospitalizing them. And there's a possibility of the company's reputation getting damaged if the injuries get very serious.
Very good.
And the company also might have to face legal problems if,
Excellent.
again, if it's
Excellent. Enough. This is enough to scare the board of directors. Got it?
okay, sir.
Now, what do you suggest? How do we fix it?
There has to be like proper training that we can hire external staff to train the staff at Railco.
Okay. And is
And
training enough?
there can be a supervisor to monitor the
Okay.
functioning of the staff.
Okay.
And even then, if injuries are there, then the first aid in the place can be improved.
Okay, I think good enough. So I think we should train them properly. We should make sure that all the staff are trained. They are following the security protocols. So if we ask them to wear helmet and they are not wearing helmets, then they are at fault, right?
Yes.
So we will train them. We have to make sure that they all follow the security policies and procedures. There should be a supervisor who should be closely monitoring the safety activities. Full stop. Enough. Pratham,
Yes, sir.
are you alive or are you fainted?
I'm alive.
This was your first time you spoke, right?
Yeah, you're right.
I think you did quite pretty well. Just boost your confidence. You are not dumb. Okay, it's a very basic question here. Lack of training leading to injuries, which will lead to blah blah blah. This is the recommendation. All right, well done.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much.
Bye. All right, guys, please can you draft? Now draft the weakness and the recommendation. Time starts now. Please leave one line in between. Use next line. Just so that you know answer opens up. None. Very good. Most of you are doing it pretty well. Javed. Okay, सही है, ठीक है. Saad, don't talk about cost first. First mention revenues, then cost. How many times I have to repeat this? Good. No, 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 no. Who's that? Vartika, your recommendation is too short. Do you think it's worth 2 marks? Yeah, Emmanuel, I've seen it. No need to repeat it. All right. Okay, guys, well done. How many weaknesses are we supposed to give? Okay, let's look at this one. Please read this one. Okay, Ananya, give me 1 minute. Let me read. Okay. Ananya, you want to discuss this?
Yeah, sir.
Do you see any weakness here?
Yes, sir. Actually, currently, the rail company is not paying the workers at standard industry average rate.
Yeah, it's mentioned somewhere that our employees are getting very low rates. They don't get regular increments, this and that.
Mm-hmm.
So what's wrong in that?
So this will lead to employee dissatisfaction, and ultimately employees might leave our company.
I don't give a fuck. I want to save cost. I'm an accountant.
If we don't have employees,
is that the right approach? Is that the right approach?
No, sir.
Good. Then what should be the right approach?
They should ensure that employees are paid at a correct.
No. What's okay? Let me help you understand the impact. So if our staff are not getting the market-based salaries, what's the impact? Why is it a weakness?
Dissatisfied employees, operational disruptions.
So now, where did you pick this word from? Operational disruptions.
It just came to my mind.
Liar, you saw me drafting. Okay. So yes, so if the staff are not getting the right market wages, it will lead to demotivation. Absolutely. It may lead to operational disruption. How? Do you see a word in the second last line?
Strike. Strike.
How it can lead to operational disruption? Maybe if the staff goes on strike, then definitely it will disturb our operations, right?
Yes, sir. Yeah.
And what about even if they don't go on strike? Will it not negatively affect the customer service?
Yes, sir.
If the staff has low morale, they don't really want to work. Obviously it will show on their face, right? They will not give a shit about customers, so it will affect our customer feedbacks and satisfaction.
Yeah, sir. Yeah.
What about staff turnover?
Staff turnover would be very high.
Will reduce, right?
It would be high, sir.
Okay. So is that good or bad?
It is very bad.
Why? How?
Uh, then we have to constantly train the staff again, and it
Hire
will lead
new
to higher
people,
cost.
recruit a lot of people, train them, and blah blah blah. It's a headache, right? Hiring
Yeah,
so
sir.
many people.
Mm.
All right, very good. I think you handled it well. Now, what do you recommend?
So I would recommend, like, they should ensure the staffs are motivated and kept happy by giving them an industry average salary.
How will we find out what is the industry average salary? Whose job is to benchmark?
It is the HR director.
HR. So should you do? So should the HR director do some survey in
Yes, sir.
what regarding what is the current wages in the same similar industries,
Yes, sir. Yeah.
and then they should benchmark their salaries with the survey results,
Yes, sir. Absolutely.
and wherever there are gaps they should try to fill it and bring the
Mm.
salary up to the market range.
Yeah, sir.
Very good. Isn't that simple step by step logical approach? All right, guys, please draft. Yeah. You can mention about employee benefits. Guys, okay, please draft and then you'll go for a break. Saad, you are unmuted. You want to speak something, Saad? Please draft this weakness. What's the weakness? What's the impact? Followed by its recommendation. Yes, Ishan, you can just mention your offering employee benefits, but main thing is salary, right? Address the weakness first. Are you guys drafting? Shall I wait? Okay, 30 more seconds. Not the recommendation. No workers going on strike is not a good heading, Atmarani. That's the impact. What is the weakness? The weakness is low salaries. You need to understand the difference between the weakness and the impact. Strike is the consequence. Why would they go on strike? Because it's the low salary. Good, Shazor. I will answer this question in 2 minutes. All right. What are you doing, Josefa? Why are you saying the chairman expressed concern, blah, blah, blah? That's nothing to copy paste. Please tell me the weakness and the impact, to the point. Nuha, that's very short. Yes, Zahid, I will address that. Muhammad Sunir, your heading is too long. Just say low salaries or below market salaries. Always try to give a nice short heading. Everybody try to give a heading. It looks professional. The board really loves headings. All right, so now I got several questions. How can we score the skepticism marks here? Because if you remember, the professional marks was for skepticism. So let me open it. Here, professional skills marks are available for demonstrating skepticism skills in questioning the opinions and assertions made by the CEO. So I just made you guys read the weakness related paragraphs. Okay. There was no comments from the CEO in those paragraphs. So no need for skepticism on those. But then the paragraphs which we skipped, those contained CEO's opinions, right? That you need to challenge. You agree? So this portion, like just identifying the internal control, like this one, up till here, there is no skepticism. Skepticism starts from this one, justifies chief executive is failing in his duty. So we did not do this part. We didn't read those paragraphs. So for example, I just show you what the CEO is saying. Go up. I'll show you. The CEO is saying, for example, this stupid CEO is saying this sentence. Can you read this? He's saying that he believed that the target for punctuality set by the board for last year, 2016 was last year, was unachievable and therefore should be ignored. So the board had given him a target at the start of the year, okay, and Railco was not able to achieve the target. So now what is he saying? The target was unachievable, unrealistic. Please ignore. Fuck you. Is that the way you deal with targets set by the board? Do you agree with this sentence? Who made him the CEO? Yes, Abba, exactly. You see, so here, these kind of sentences, when you will challenge it, you will say that it's not appropriate. Any target set by the board is important to me. And if you feel that the target was unrealistic, then you should have discussed with the board at that time. Not after 1 year, once you did not achieve the target. Now you can't go back and say, let's ignore it. Stupid, idiot. You see? So here you will challenge him, disagree with him. This is skepticism. But the portion which we did, weaknesses, there was no CEO opinion. So what's the main thing here? That you need to read this extra hint that what you need to do. Okay, are you guys clear how to score skepticism? There was no skepticism in the weaknesses portion, but we just did half the question. We ignored the rest. So I just tailor-made this question. Yes, Mavish, I agree. All right, guys, so I need a break. Who else needs a break? Oh my God. Shit, man. Okay, let's take a 15-minute break. And then after the break, I want to talk about something very confusing: agency, principal agent relationship. Okay, 15 minutes break. I will see you in exactly 15 minutes. Huh? Let me write the time. It was 10:40 to 10:55.
Hello, Vifhians! Are you tired of traditional learning methodology and want to transform your learning into a game? If yes, then the wait is over. Vifhe has launched its gamification learning model, in which there are 7 levels to score 100 points. Level 1, recorded sessions. Level 2, live classes. Level 3, assignments. Level 4, test yourself. Level 5, testing platform. Level 6, mock. Level 7, quick WhatsApp response, in which you need to score at least 80 marks. But the game will not get over. You still need to pass your ACCA exam. So if you score 100 points and you pass, you will get $30 discount. If you score 90 points and you pass, you will get $20 discount. And if you score 80 points and you pass, you will get $10 discount on any other paper at Vifhe. So what are you waiting for? Let the game begin.
So what do you think of this question? It was a control weakness question, and every alternative attempt, you do get this kind of a question, which is not related to any chapter. Just you need to use your common sense. So just be confident, just be bold, just think logically, step by step. If this happens, then what? If that happens, then what? Is the approach clear? All right, so let's move to another confusing topic, which is called agent principle. A lot of stupid chats happening here and there, everybody trying to, explain what they think it is. So I just thought, so here. So principal basically is the owner of the company. Very simple. Just remember like this. Principal is the owner of the company. Okay. And who's an agent? Agents are persons working on behalf of the owner. And obviously they will be appointed by the owner. So for some reason the owner are busy or whatever, they are not running the company, so they will appoint, let's say, the board of directors to run the company on their behalf. Is it clear? Principal is the owner and agent is the person working on behalf of that owner. He is responsible and accountable to the principal. So is that correct? Agent is accountable to the principal, not the principal to the agent, right? So a commercial organization is very simple. So who do you think is the owner in a commercial organization? Let's say in a listed company, who do you think is the owner? Obviously, the shareholders are the owner in a listed company or a commercial organization. And who is an agent in a commercial organization? The board of directors, right? The shareholders, they appoint the entire board of directors, which includes the chairman, the CEO, the executive directors, the non-executive directors. Everybody is appointed by the shareholder in the annual general meeting. So the board of directors are the agents of the shareholders. They are responsible and accountable to the shareholders, and whatever they do, it's on behalf of the shareholders. So the board of directors have the explicit rights, authorities, and power to act on behalf of the shareholders. Very simple. Yeah. Commercial organization, it's coming to it, Naveed, coming to it. Now let's talk about a non-profit or a charitable organization. So who will be the owner of a charitable organization? Obviously, charitable organizations don't have shareholders. They are not listed. But there must be someone, right? Someone who created it. Someone who is taking a keen interest in the objectives. So just remember these keywords: the founding members, the families, or the people who created that charity. They are the principal, or they are also sometimes called the sponsors. Okay. So in a charitable organizations, they are also known as sponsors or the founding members, or to some extent, you can also say major donors, not individual donors, $10, $5, no, but any major consistent donor who is donating regularly large amounts may also be seen or as a deemed principal, but main is founding members or sponsors. Correct? Will you remember these three terminologies? Donors, sponsors. No, Oliver, not trustees. Oh God. Trustees are not the owners or the principals. Is that clear, please? Now, the board of directors is basically in a commercial organization, but in a charitable organization, you will see something called board of trustees. Okay, it's a different terminology. Concept is a bit same. In a commercial organization, they are called board of directors. Here, they will be called board of trustees. All right. The board of trustees is appointed by these guys, the owners or the principal. They appoint the board of trustees, and the board of trustees is responsible for everything, like the strategic direction, the growth, everything. Now, in a charitable organization, generally you will see something called two-tier board. Two-tier boards. We will see mostly in charitable or public government entities. Okay. A two-tier board means that there are two boards. One is a senior board, one is a junior board. The junior board reports to senior board. This board normally contains chairman and NED. Okay. And the junior board contains CEO and EDs, executive directors. But don't need to go into this much detail. Okay. So in a charity, you will see a board of trustees. They are the agent. They are directly appointed by the principals. And then there is a junior board. Don't call it a junior board, but just for explanation purposes, I'm using the word junior board. It is normally called the management board. Sometimes it is also called board of directors, but mostly it is called management board. So they are sub-agent. Okay. So board of trustees is the primary agent, and then there's a board, management board, which is a sub-agent. How do they split? The board of trustees are mostly non-executive directors. They make strategic decisions, and the board, the second board, the management board, its job is to implement the decisions. Is this concept clear? Even if it's not clear, please can you memorize this? In a non-profit organization, the principal or the owners are the founding members or the sponsors or major donors. The agent is the board of trustees, and there may be a sub-agent which can be called the board of directors / management board. The management board reports to the board of trustees, and the board of trustees report to the founding members. Just remember this tiers or levels. Very similarly, in a government or public organizations, not public listed, but public or corporations like government-owned entities like railway and tax authority or health ministry, whatever. Again, a government entity like the railway company owned by the government, a government entity is owned by who? Who's the ultimate owner of a government company? What is PSU? Public, yes, correct. So the government entity is either owned by the public, or you can also use the word citizens of the country, or you can use the word taxpayers of the country. They're all synonymous. And who do they appoint? Who do they appoint? So they appoint basically a minister, right? If it's a democratic country, they will appoint a minister for transport, and then the minister may appoint a board of trustees, and the board of trustees may appoint a management board. So they're all agents, sub-agents, sub-agents. The main thing is, who's the principal? The public. The minister is accountable to the public. The board of trustees is accountable to the minister, and the management board or the board of directors is accountable to the board of trustees. It's a hierarchy. Hierarchy. You understand hierarchy? Accountability, responsibility, hierarchy. This, then this, then this, then this. So principal, agent, sub-agent, sub-sub-agent. Guys, any questions? Because after this, I don't want any stupid arguments or comments here and there confusing everybody. Yes, you can also see a Naveed, you may also see a two-tier board in a commercial organization. It is possible. So then in that case, if there's a two-tier board in a commercial organization, then there will be the supervisory board, which is what is called, and then sub-agent will be the management board. Okay, but please, you are not doing a PhD in all this, so don't get into so much details. Will you remember this table, small simple table, and these terminologies? Yes or no? So principals are owners, and agents are people appointed by the principal to run the entities. Just remember that. Right. So let me go to which question are we supposed to do? Again, specimen 2, question 1A. Question 1A. Close this and open task 1A. You have been asked to prepare a briefing paper for the Rail Co Trust Board, which A, identifies and explains the agency relationship of the parties involved in Rail Co and discuss the rights and responsibilities of those parties. 8 marks, and professional marks for communication skills in clarifying the agency relationship involved. 2 marks, total 10 marks. Okay, so you just need to, if you want to score professional marks, just make sure that you explain in easy layman terms. That's the secret of communication skills, because your audience is non-financial people. What's the question? Identify and explain the agency relationship or agency setup in Railco. So Railco is it's a government-owned entity. So please type, in a government-owned entity, whom do you expect to be the principal? In a government entity like Railco, who should you say is the principal? Public, right? I prefer public. Yeah. All right. And then who do public normally appoints? Ministers, because people, they don't directly appoint the Railco board, so they will appoint the minister for transport, because it's probably a ministry of transport, and then the minister will appoint the board of trustees. Now the board of trustees will be a specific board to manage the Railco company. Board of trustees, they normally are non-executives, and then the board of trustees will appoint the board of directors or the management board, who will look more into the day-to-day running of the company. They are more executive directors, like the CEO, the executive directors, the management board. Yeah. So you remember the hierarchy? Now let's read the scenario. Can we read the, I'll just read the overview. Can you just read these two paragraphs? It will give you an idea. Time starts now. Okay, I will read, no problem. It's a small thing. Railco is a public sector rail company. It's a public sector, which means government owned. Railco is governed by a supreme governing committee known as Railco Trust Board. Excellent. So it is governed, the supreme governing body is Railco Trust Board. What does this board do? This board is responsible to the Ministry of Transport. So they are answerable to the Ministry of Transport for ensuring that the Railco Board of Directors make the best use of public money and maintain blah, 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 blah. This is the structure. So at the top of hierarchy, the governance hierarchy, they have a Railco Trust Board. Underneath them, they have something called Board of Directors. And then the Board of Directors have all these things, various committees like it. So normally, the Board of Directors are executive directors. They are paid directors. So there's an executive committee, safety, health and safety committee, audit committee, RAM committee. This is nomination committee. Right. So it's a pretty simple structure. So the Board of Directors report to the Trust Board. The Trust Board reports to whom? The public. The Trust Board reports to the minister, yeah, and the minister is accountable to the public. He will stand in the next election and he will say, I've done this, and blah, blah, blah. Simple structure. Okay. Now, exhibit. Which exhibit are we supposed to read? Intro and exhibit 1. Okay, exhibit 1 is website. So on the website of Railco, it's mentioned our board, our executive committee, our board committees, and Railco Trust Board. Interesting. Who is Railco Trust Board? The primary agent, yeah? This is the information provided about Railco Trust Board. The question says, identify the agency relationship. So what is the relationship? The principal is the public. What is the name of the country in which they are operating? I don't remember if they have mentioned the name.
Sir,
of
B-Land.
B-Land. Yes, thank you so much. So who is the principal? Please can you type full? Public of or citizens of? Please write. Who is the principal? They are the citizens of B-Land. Public of B-Land. This is a nice answer, right? You mentioned the name of the country. You will get extra marks. Just saying citizen is general answer. Now you have linked with the case. Who is the primary agent? The minister. But here there is a very less information about minister. In this whole scenario, there's no information about minister. We just know that there is a minister in between. So I just want to simplify and shorten my answer. So can I say minister slash board of trustees? Because no information is given to us about the minister and the ministry. I just read one word somewhere. So I don't want to go into lengthy answers. So I will say the primary agent is the minister slash board of trustees. What is the name of board of trustees here? Hasan, what is the name? I think it's an overview. It is called Railco Trust Board. Yes. So you will say Minister for Transport slash Railco Trust Board. What does Railco Trust Board do? Because that is another question. I think it says, Identify the relationship, parties involved, and discuss the rights and responsibilities. So what do you think the Rail Code Trust Board does? So you can read this. You can also pick from here. Railco is responsible for blah, 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 blah. I think that's good enough. If you want to add some more stuff, you can look from here, 1 or 2 sentences from here. Okay, just copy pasting that. This is what the Railco Trust Board is supposed to do. If they are hold us accountable for delivering what we promise, the range of giving targets, fund allocations, accountable for health and safety performance. Just copy paste. Now, who is the sub-agent? So who is the next level after the trust board? Railco Trust Board, who is the next level underneath them? Board of Directors. What are they called? I would like to use terminologies from the scenario. So on the website of Railco, yeah, Railco Board or Railco Board of Directors. Okay. So you can say that after the Railco Trust Board, then there is a Railco Board of Directors who is responsible for the strategic direction, responsible for supervising the operational activities, blah, blah, blah. How many directors are there? Doesn't matter. There's another question on this. And then there are several committees, forget it. For I think, and then you will use all this information in some other question. There's a question on committees separately. So for 10 marks, you are supposed to identify who's the principal, the public. You can write 2 lines. So the format would be I will just draft one for you. Okay, now this they require what? They require a briefing paper. But I'm skipping the briefing paper format because of lack of time. But your body of the answer will be, first heading will be principal, agent, sub-agent, right? Let me make it nice. Heading underline, nice. Heading 3 underline. This one is not, it's very big. Heading 3, and this one heading 3 underline. I will say principal. Why are we saying public is the principal? Can anybody tell me why we are saying public is the principal? What's the logic? Just type. Because it's a government owned. So can I copy some from somewhere? I think I read it here that Railco is a public sector company in VLAN, Control C, and I will go to my Word document. I will paste it here. I will say Railco is a public sector rail company, blah, 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 blah. Hence, the principal are the people or citizens of, perfect answer, agent. What does the trust board do? I'll just copy from somewhere. I will just take it from here. I will just copy, Control C, Word document. I will say Railco is governed by Supreme. Just editing, I will say Railco Trust Board. Said someone who is unmuted, please mute. Komal. Railco Trust Board is the Supreme Governance Committee. This board is responsible to the Ministry of Transport for ensuring blah, 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 blah. I think enough. If you want, you can add one more paragraph from the other exhibit in which, you can just copy paste it here, Control C, Control V, and then you can edit if you want of the trust board. Holds the board of directors account for delivering the promise. It sets range of performance targets each year and holds the board of directors to account for its effective and efficient use of the funds. Enough. That very nice answer. We first said who is the agent, and then we briefly talked about their rights and responsibilities. Who's the sub-agent? Very same approach. Couple of paragraphs, and it's a free 10 marks. Free 10 marks. What is the marks for professional? I think it was communication. So did we use simple, logical draft English? Yeah, it's enough for 10 marks, Fazil bhai. Because for 10 marks, how many minutes you have, Fazil? For 10 marks, Fazil, how many minutes you have? 18 minutes. So you will not be able to write more than this in 18 minutes. Don't you think so? I am fast. I know the case. So I did it in 5-7 minutes. But in exam, only to do this much, you might need 18. This is more than enough. Okay. So did we give 5 points? Did we give 5 points? Yes, we give 5 points. Principal, this is 1 point. Agent, we gave like who is the agent, and then we gave several explanations what their role is. That's approximately 1 to 2 points. Then sub-agent, it is the board of directors, and then what do they do? That's approximately 2 points. 2, 4, 5, alas. It is this simple. This is what I wanted to explain, that in SBL, no need for lengthy stories, no need for complicated answers, because you will run short of time. To the point, basic arguments, half portion copy pasted, half portion your own comments. That's it. Laiba, exactly. It is really simple. Or maybe it's not simple, but now I made it simple. Maybe that's true, but now if something similar comes again, will you guys be able to handle a question on agent-principal relationship? That's the whole point of practicing. Okay, now you know in simplified terminology who's agent. Let me see. Let me see if there's any other question on agent-principal relationship. There's a question in BCO. I think there's a question on BCO, agent-principal relationship. BCO. Let me open BCO. Let's see whether we are able to do it. So BCO, the first question is question number 1. The specific nature of principal-agent relationship of BCO as a charitable organization. So it's a charitable organization. Guys, tell me who should be the principal. The founding members. Don't directly go to donors. Please follow the sequence, idiots. Please follow the sequence. What did I mention? founding members or the sponsors or major donors, right? So who is the founding member of VCO? I don't know. Let me search. Control F, FOUND. It was founded 50 years ago by Dana, a wealthy entrepreneur with a passion for wildlife. So the Bloom family is the founding family, right? The BCO is a non-profit organization, blah, blah, blah. It was founded by whom? Dana Blue, because she had a passion for wildlife. Alas. And you can also say the major donors, major corporate donors will also be the enough, right? Can you do that? Agent. Well, who should be the agent? Board of Trustees. Very good. So is there any information of Board of Trustees? Control F, TRUSTEE. Yeah, you see the power of search. Control F. The BCO has a Board of Trustees. Copy paste it, which oversees the management of the charity, which is undertaken on a day-to-day basis by the management board. They have Board of Trustees who are the agents, and the sub-agent is the management board. Do you need more information on the Board of Trustees? Again, I will search. Here, Exhibit 2, from extract from the website. Board of Trustees, so whole detail is provided here. You can copy paste. Board of Trustee members, and then the whole detail of management board is given here. How many marks was it? How many marks? No, it was here. I think it was 12 plus 2, 14. 14 divided between 3. 4, 3 are 12. 5 marks, approximately. 5 marks for A1. Don't you think it was easy? No, Naveed. Please, no line, no need to write any definitions or explanations. You are writing to the board of directors. Your report is going to the chairman. Don't you think he knows who is an agent and principal is? So please, no definitions. You're wasting your time. Come to the point. For 5 marks, you already have so much to write. Yes, Noor, in CBE, you will have to open each exhibit to search. You cannot search throughout. So you will have to open up each exhibit to search. So I'll show you. For example, this is the exhibit. Here is the magnifying glass. And I will write trustee. It's red. It's not there. Trust. Yeah, trust is there, I think, here. See, there are six cases. Trust. Okay. Highlight all. Okay. Trust board. Trust. Highlight all. Excellent. Management. Management, there are 3 cases. Highlight all. Got it? So you can actually, if you do an intelligent search, you can do it. So guys, I'm tired. What do you think, guys? Today you learned some more techniques, how to link, how to draft. Was the practice helpful? Drafting was helpful. And if you have common sense, you can easily score 30 marks, because 30 marks is common sense, something like we did in the weakness question. So guys, just for those who have joined today, tomorrow I will do a question on project initiation document. So for those who have joined today, my revision practice class, if you think today's drafting and discussion was helpful, my batch is starting on 16th of May, in which we will be doing extensive practice like this for 5 SBL questions, 3 mocks, and 1 script checking and a grand revision. This is a discounted, subsidized rates already, keeping in mind the mark, the time, hours spent. Please, if you're interested in joining, you don't have a lot of time, so message this guy. This is the day-wise schedule. Okay, 8 p.m. to 11:45 p.m. starting from Monday. Right, guys. So I will see you guys on tomorrow, 8:30 p.m. Tomorrow, I will talk about project initiation document. This is another area where students really, they feel confused. And after spending the first half on project initiation, drafting, and all those things, the second half, I will do a recap. I will talk about technical articles and all, study plan for the next 2 weeks, etc. Till then, guys, thank you so much. Yeah, you can take a picture of that. Let me increase the size. Okay. And see if that suits you.